Hey, so I wanted to make this video to talk about how to study fascism. Fascism is very poorly studied, very poorly understood by a lot of people, especially leftists. Um, so we're going to talk about that. So, first off, when you're studying anything, it's best to read first-hand and second-hand sources. So the first-hand sources give you the direct what was said, what was believed, what what may have happened, the first-hand experience of what happened. The second-hand source will give you perspective. Now, when studying fascism, a lot of people make the mistake of only reading secondhand sources, and then they only read secondhand sources from a particular group of people, Marxists. So they get a very skewed vision of what fascism is. Now, the Marxists, especially the Marxist academics, they will often lie about what fascism is. They have reason to lie about what fascism is because they don't want people to know what it is. They don't want people to be engaged with it. Now, one of the ways that they will lie about it, first off, they will say that, fascists are just liars. So you can't trust anything that the fascists say, and you have to look at what they did. And so they will look at what the fascists did. They will describe what the fascists did. And then they will label it completely the opposite to what they just described. So, for example, or they will be so vague that it doesn't matter. Their description doesn't matter. But we'll get into that. So one thing that will happen is that they will describe the government coming in and taking control of everything in the economy, down to when and where people could take vacations. And then they will say this was free market capitalism. This was privatization. Well, the government taking control of things is not privatization. The public sector taking control of things is not privatization. Another thing that they will do is be very vague. For example, Jason Stanley in Us and Them, or The Politics of Fascism. It's extremely general book that is so general, so vague, it could be applied to just about any system in history. It's not useful. It is just so vague that it could be applied to monarchy. It could be applied to social democracy. It could be applied to a republic. It could be applied to anything. It's not a good source. So when it comes to studying fascism, you do want to read the first-hand sources. So we're on YouTube. YouTube has audiobooks for free. You can find an audiobook of The Doctrine of Fascism by Benito Mussolini. You can find an audiobook of The Government of Tomorrow by Oswald Mosley. There have been in the past other audiobooks of fascist literature. However, a lot of those have been taken down, unfortunately. So what you want to do is read the first-hand sources. You can find some of them for free on YouTube. You can find some of them on Audible. Well, actually, no, you can't. No, you can't. You can only find secondhand sources on Audible. I checked. You can find some of them on Amazon. Some of those books are very cheap. Some of those books are not so cheap. The Origins and Doctrine of Fascism by Giovanni Gentile is like $40 on Amazon, and that's not a thick book. That's actually a very thin book. So that is a bit pricey. Now, as far as secondhand sources go, you want to get the best researched sources, and you want to get sources that do not contradict themselves. So, for example, TIKHistory. TIKHistory goes through sources that contradict themselves. For example, the vampire economy, where he describes the government coming in and taking control of everything and then calls it free market capitalism. Tick synthesizes this by looking at the description and using the actual definitions of words to come to the conclusion of what actually happened. It wasn't privatization. It was corporatism. It was syndicalism. It was socialism. The public sector taking control of things is not privatization. So what Tick will do is synthesize all this information, both the definitions, the philosophy, and the actual description of what happened. So Tick is a good one to look at. Although you do have to take him with a grain of salt, because he went off on the Gnostic train a while back, and James Lindsay got him into that. And James Lindsay is, of course, wrong about Gnosticism. And yes, Tick did mention that James Lindsay was the entire reason for his Gnostic tangent. There's William C. Fox. William C. Fox has a couple of videos on fascism. One of them's 5 hours long, one of them's 6 hours long. And he uses first-hand and second-hand sources, and he synthesizes them. He molds them into something that is cohesive as opposed to contradictory as the original sources generally are. And there's New Ruins 09, who is an anarchist. But New Ruins 09, oh, well, he was an anarchist, a leftist anarchist. And he was reading fascist literature, and he was reading the philosophy behind it. He offers some good insights. So there's a lot of different ways to look into fascism for free. And then when it comes to books, there's Amazon, there's thrift books. You can find different first-hand sources. You can find different second-hand sources. The sad thing is that the best second-hand sources, first off, they don't come from Marxists. And they are very well-researched and very detail-oriented. So they are not these vague, dishonest, contradictory things that the Marxists put out. And because of their depth of research, they are very expensive. So you got Zeev Sternhell. His books can run like $60 or $70. And then you got Roger Griffin. Roger Griffin, his books can run $90 or $100, depending on what books. There are some books that he's put out that are cheaper. Then there, of course, are books published by people who support the ideology, which may not be the best to look at, or they may be even better to look at. Like Carlos Videla's National Socialism, Its Principles and Ideology, Principles and Philosophy. I can't remember the title, but it's Carlos Videla. Right now I have about 30 or 40 books specifically on fascism on my wish list on Amazon. So I've done a bit of research into these books, and I've done a bit of research to find these books. And of course, I've watched through William C. Fox's videos, I've watched through TIKHistory's videos, I've watched through New Ruins 09 videos. There's some others as well. So you want to be thorough with your research. Thank you for watching. Peace.